Today I'll be talking about how to give a good talk. Part 1, visual aids. Establish credibility. So you want to respect your audience. They can read, so don't spell out every word. So please don't just read off slides. Also make an effort to expand on what you've written, lest you give the impression that you yourself can't do much more than read. This might mean saying more than is on your slide, or putting less on your slides, or both. This does not mean verbally adding an occasional word or two between bullet points to connect them into a more cohesive narrative. Don't tell the audience how unprepared you are. That reminds me, I got 4 hours of sleep last night and put this together 15 minutes before, so unless you know you won't get skewered. The audience is not out to get you. They want you to succeed, so don't sabotage yourself. Graphics and aesthetics. Definitely don't cram your screen with text. Text gets very hard to read. Keep it concise, the shortest it can possibly be while still remaining intelligible. Split bullet points into separate pages if necessary. Also, do not make text too small. Sentence fragments are not necessarily sacrilegious. The purpose of a slideshow, PowerPoint, Google Slides, whatever, is not to be a personal speaker notes. It's not to distract or bore or fatigue, confuse, dismay your audience. Some people suggest a limit of words or less. And also keep animations tasteful. In fact, some claim that withholding information from your audience is counterproductive. You might also, from time to time, see some people putting in images that just really stand out and have watermarks. Just throwing together a bunch of pictures for an effect that you want, try to avoid that. And also, word art is really fancy and pretty. What was I talking about here? Oh, right, okay. Graphics and aesthetics continue. I think doesn't really show well on this projector. Keep it simple. Some themes can look lazy or uninspired or distracting. You'll want to avoid camouflage or clashing or neon colors at all costs. Comic sans and papyrus are always excellent plot choices according to some text non-experts. And you also generally want to go for consistency. Immersion and flow. Your slide has a title. Don't remind everyone that it has a title. Also, don't make references to future slides, and definitely don't decide to flip through a bunch of slides. All right, actually, there's something coming up that's pretty relevant here. Just get to this. If there was something relevant here, President, say something about organization that you didn't mention it earlier. Okay, yeah, so I wanted. Bear with me. Just gonna. Okay, so yeah, don't do that to just now, what you were going to talk about later. Anyways. Okay. But when on meta-referencing your own talk, there's this one quote by Lincoln that I really like. And today in this Gettysburg Address, we'll be talking to you about those who here gave their lives that you might live. It's really nice because he spells out exactly for you that he's giving a speech and that you're listening to him give it, and that it's called the Gettysburg Address. Yeah. Also talking about your slides or your presentation in your slides and presentation is a similar effect. You don't want to tell your audience how hard you worked on something. It's a part of the show. I worked really hard on this, by the way. It took me all night. So, play it cool. You're in charge. Everything works exactly what it should, and it falls effortlessly into place. And friendly reminder to keep animations tasteful. Okay, I guess this is all the stuff that was earlier. I think I talked about this already, so don't do it again. So let's move on. Part 2, nerves and habits. Stop reading off the title. No, seriously. I'm not really sure why I put that here. Okay, this is getting scary. Posture, body language, and language. And you want to look powerful, or at least respectable. With your gestures, you want to be grandiose and energetic. Move to the rhythm of your voice, your emphatic words with emphatic emotions. As long as you're not laughing wildly, you're golden, and half-hearted motions can look awkward and uncomfortable. Avoiding awkwardness is a skill that you build up, but you only need two things to get started. One is a lot of experience with awkwardness, and two is a desperate desire to look good. So, eye contact. Everyone in the audience loves to be acknowledged. It pays to at least pretend to do it. So, about looking at the screen, if you do it on occasion, it can be emphatic, but if you do it all the time, it's more alienation, and then the audience can't really engage with you or follow what you're doing. So, also pay attention to your verbal tics, because it doesn't take a monotonous voice to make something painful to listen to, especially if you drum on and have a lot of text on your slides. You can also do things like raise your voice at the end of every phrase or clause, like you're asking a question, even though there's no question, probably to try to keep the audience holding on to your every word, but if you do it all the time, it can get really annoying. And so, awkward pauses. Be aware of what you're doing, even if it's not words. Okay, so make an effort to be entertaining through your voice, through your movements, or better yet, both. It's not difficult to become a glorified genius reading text fed to it. This leaves your visual aids as the only possible source of entertainment left. And if even those are devoid of character or personality, then your captive audience has literally nothing to grasp onto. For the record, I don't recommend having your slides being the only source of personality. It's worked every time I've done it, but I've only done it once when I was back in high school. So, in other words, one of two things that predominantly happens in my experience. The first is preponderance bumps. First gets comical, but after a while, it gets really old. It's the repetitive nature that's what that becomes a problem. I have a sort of a relevant story about this. There were a lot of long car trips in my childhood because my parents worked in different places. And so classical music was one of the only things that they would have playing. So you know what classical music is like. Well, I hope you do. There are some sections that get quieter than others, and sitting in the car with nothing to do, you just might want to fall asleep. But then a violin comes in and just drives me out of whatever. And this keeps happening. You think you're out of it, but then you hear it again, and that's the sorry. so the second thing that sort of might happen, is like not just trying to stall for time and not knowing exactly what you're saying, and even though you're saying words, it's like you're not really just saying anything at all. So practice is this thing. Can mean a few different things. You can practice your talk, or you can practice your skills. I don't really remember what I mean by either of those, but I think I'm running out of time, so I'll just I have a few other things, but I'll just skip through these. So, conclusion. Don't read the slide title and avoid reading the slide for the love of. Okay. Like, don't ever explicitly tell your audience that you're concluding. It ruins the immersion. It's too jarring and it's too direct. It's too much. But on the flip side, I guess it does let them know that wake up now. Make it obvious from the other cues and stuff like that. Make a visual aid that's clean and informative and complements and doesn't compete with what you're saying. Visual aid should not be a crutch. Minimize text. Be consistent. Display your strength with animations. Be aware of what your body does on its own to form deliberate instead of intentional habits. And yeah, I guess that's all I have. No, that's not enough. All right, for real now. Please don't say something is all you have. That fourth wall is just shattered at this point. And you might want to do that, but do it intentionally if you are. A good way to end something instead is to thank the audience and make gracious exits. So, oh, it's locked. Okay. Again, a lot of these things are done because they weren't planned out, and people who don't plan out talks that they give don't try to do these, but that's the point. They happen because they weren't trying, because they had to focus so hard on actually what they're saying that there's a bunch of other things that their body starts doing on its own that they can no longer pay attention to. So as long as you know that these things are things that you have to be looking out for and that you are paying enough attention to them, that's more than half the battle. It's a great start. It's really the end too. Public speaking is, well, I saw it characterized as a performance very recently, and that's when it started making more sense to me. For some weird reason, I have not had a good history with public speaking, but I have never gotten stage fright. So as long as there's something, a set of lines I can memorize, then I can actually focus on something other than the words and feel more comfortable doing stuff. So, I mean, this is advice at the end of the day. It's not the law or you'll be arrested if you don't do these things. Just work on them whenever you want to, really. And if you don't want to, that's fine as well. Just, again, to avoid awkwardness, you have to want to look good. A lot of people do want to look good, so they got that part down. And one of the ways to do that is just to start paying more attention to the things that you normally wouldn't. So to come to an earlier point that I tried to make and deliberately failed at, the two easiest ways to get better at a presentation, one is to practice the presentation itself. So, know the ins and outs of it, all the beats, all the jokes that you're going to make. That's what works for me. Or you can practice the skills that you'll be using to give the presentation, which has the added benefit of preparing you for the ones that will come after. And if you do that enough by talking enough and being comfortable enough in the front of a room with this thing at your back, then you just naturally have to start thinking less about all the other stuff around that's going on. And you'll know what your body is doing as well, and your autopilot just won't be awkward for yourself or for the audience. And once your skills are all down, that's when you can just start winging it and it'll look good. I don't think I'll get there, but some people do. So why did I do this? It's really hard to get more meta than a presentation on presentations. Also, in the past few weeks, I've been on the giving and receiving end of a bunch of them, and there were high points and low points, mostly. And I thought just displaying them would be fun. And also because I think giving a bad presentation is a lot easier than giving a good one. And I wanted to give everyone who saw that a sense of, I could do better than that. It's easy. So, and maybe we can all recognize some of these things as stuff that we hate or stuff that we've done and just have a good laugh about it. So, again, this was originally slated for the first day of April. So, happy belated 32nd March, I guess. I'm deliberately not saying that's all I have. But that is it.
All right.